Time skipped after 1 week. 1 week was passed and Vine was still stuck in this mansion with that Mafia King JK. In this 1 week, Vine and JK had a lot of interaction. Vine tried to avoid him, but things didn't work out like she wanted. In fact, he was getting close to her day by day. JK was getting more addicted to her, and sometimes Vine also feels butterflies in her stomach when JK is near to her, but still she is sure about that. She have to leave this place and live her life away from him. JK was sitting in the living area when Vine came and stood in front of him. JK looked at her with and she rolled her eyes and said while tapping her foot on the floor, I am going to meet my grandfather. JK smirked while looking at her and said, who gave you the permission to go? Vine looked at him with a done face and said, now I have to take a permission and that's to meet my own grandfather. JK nodded his head in saying yes, and Vine rolled her eyes and gritted her teeth. Time skipped after 3 days. Mine was still asking him to let her go to meet Bonzo, but he was not allowing her. She had to meet him and ask him to help her getting out of here because without Bonzo's help it was getting hard for her to leave this mansion, but Jackie was not allowing her to meet him. Vine was sitting here in her room, lost in her own thoughts, and just then the door of the room opened and Jackie came inside. Get ready, we have to go in Lauren's business party tonight. I'm not going, Vine said calmly with no expression. Jackie came towards her and leaned down. Vine also slowly leaned down and back. Jackie whispered to her, first of all, I'm not asking my lovely wife, I'm ordering you. Second, if you don't get ready on time, then I won't mind picking you up and taking you there in whatever you are wearing. Jackie's eyes went towards her. He wanted to devour, but he handled himself and stood straight. This view was so mesmerizing for him that if he got the whole life, he will still stand here and watch her completely. When Van was done, she looked at him. Van took a minute and admired him that how handsome he was looking. That black tuxedo, that royal watch which he was wearing in those veiny hands, was like a cherry on top of the cake. Van looked at him and then went towards the dressing table and took her rings and wore them. And there he was still admiring. When Van was done, she turned and looked at him and said, "If you're done putting your bad eyes on me, then we can leave because I'm ready." JK came back on earth and went towards her and said while looking into her eyes, JK said in his deep, husky voice, sending shiver down to every inch of her body. JK motioned his hand to her to hold, but their mind being Van, she ignored his hand and went outside the room. And JK looked at his hand in the air and chuckled, and then followed his wife. They both left for the party. They both came inside the party, and without listening to JK, Van immediately left him and went towards Bonzo and hugged him. And there JK saw Van as she was looking happy. A small smile came on his face, but then he also went to another businessman, but his eyes were on his wife. "Missed you a lot," Van said to Bonzo all happily, and Bonzo smiled and said, "You don't have an idea how much I missed you. I know I came here to meet you. You have to help me to get out of there. I can't live my whole life there with him." The chicken found him staring at her. "I know wine and I will try my best, but you know that in the past days he went against me and I have lost my many men, and that's why you have to wait for a few days more. I will definitely find out a way to get you back." That man chuckled and raised his both hands in surrender and said, "Well, I'm Henry, son of Lawrence." Vine didn't say anything, just nodded her head. Henry looked at her as she didn't say anything, but he was not getting her silence, and "Let's go, let's have a beautiful dance." "Vine, no, I'm not interested," he said, coming close to her, but she took a step back and said, "No, I'm not interested. I don't want to dance." Saying that, Vine went towards there to the bar counter, but Henry, he was now making it hard for himself. Then he also followed her towards the bar, but one thing he didn't know that JK was looking at him while fuming in anger. Sorry to say, Mr. Henry, but I'm not alone, and I definitely don't need anyone beside me. I'm completely fine. So please go and enjoy your party because what you want, you aren't getting it here. Henry looked at her and said, "Oh, come on, I know you want it." And by saying that, he was about to put his hand in Ryan's hand, which was on the counter, but suddenly he screamed his lungs out, getting everyone's attention, including Ryan. And when Ryan saw that, she was shocked by looking at the view. Had digged his sharp knife inside, and that hand was stuck on the counter. As knife head went, JK was still holding and putting pressure on that. Henry was continuously screaming in pain, and JK was looking at him with angered and dark eyes like he was ready to hit in front of everyone. JK put pressure on that knife, and Henry screamed, and then JK said, Jackie looked at Pine, who was looking scared of all this. Somehow he calmed himself and looked at Jack, and Jack nodded his head, understanding what to do. Jackie left the hold on the knife and took Pine's hand softly and left from there. They came back home and asked Pine to go inside the house, and without putting any tantrums, Pine left and went inside the house, and Jackie made his way towards the basement. Jackie came inside the basement in a messed up condition. Hair were all messed up, sweat was on his forehead, face expression were enough dangerous to make anyone shiver. All guards were looking at him, that how angry he was. She is Jacky's woman. She don't need anyone when she has me. The time you put your bloody cheap eyes on my girl, you stepped inside the lion's den. Now it's time to pay back. Jacky went towards a hidden room and opened the door, and from there two wild dogs came outside and they attacked on Henry. They were running him everywhere, which was satisfying Jacky, and other guards were also looking at that same. Jacky left from there, and all guards looked at each other. Jack told them to clean the mess. No one dares to touch her, to think about her, to see her, because what's mine is mine. End of the story. And those who dare have to face me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for next part.